Do you find it hard to find a play or a musical to resonate with? Maybe that is because you simply don't necessarily like musicals that much, or you feel that the plays that you can go and see are normally these old stories and maybe you read in school and everyone talks about as classics. Well, if that is the case, I have a play that I think you might like. It's called The Effect, and it is currently on at the National Theatre until the 7th of October. This play is written by Lucy Prebble, and this is the name that you might recognize from Succession credits because she is a writer and executive producer on Succession. Do I need to talk about Succession? It's one of the most famous and successful shows over the past few years, so you know that you're in for a treat if she's written the script. Not only that, but the cast is top-notch, with Taylor Russel and Paapa Essiedu being two main protagonists. Are you still with me? Because if you are, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should go and see this show, and spoiler alert, one of those isn't because you might bump into Harry Styles, although that is very much a possibility. The first reason to go and see this show is its contemporary nature. It is a very relatable and relevant show discussing themes that are simply intertwined into every human's everyday life. And it is about love, it is about mental health, it is about all these things that make us and like our human experience the way that they are. This is not the first time that this show is on in London. It was first on in 2012, I believe, and it has received a really good reviews back then. And right now it feels that it even hits the spot more with the audiences. Which takes me to my reason number 2. The story is ultimately about love, but told through the prism of mental health and how our body reacts when falling in love. This ultimately brings the question about, are we anything more than the set of chemical reactions that are unleashed when you are around someone? Or is there something more and deeper to it? And how do we overcome it? And how do we identify it? And all these questions are present throughout the play from various different angles, but the play is ultimately about these two people who are part of a antidepressant drug trial, and you are witnessing them falling in love, but you don't know if it's the drugs or if it's actually them falling in love because they like each other. And this brings a lot of questions to you as well as a spectator, and there are like a lot of relatable sentences that just make you feel like, you know, I haven't thought about this in this way, and if this is true, how does my perception of love and my mental health differ? Moving on to the set design and just the general vibe of the play, it is very dark and modern in the way that the play is set up. There's a very small stage, I would say, and you're kind of sitting around it and facing also the other side of the audience. And the actors are pretty much on stage for the whole duration of the show. There is no intermission, which also makes it a fairly smooth watch because it lasts about like hour and 40 minutes. There are not too many props, and I'm saying maybe 1 or 2, and there are just 2 chairs, and that is literally all. But what helps with understanding of the space is this LED lit stage that kind of lits up in different squares to identify who is in focus and where they are. But it also brings that minimalist approach to the way that conversations are handled, because there are times when they mention phone or like look at this and things like that, and it's just really interesting that they don't really even mimic that. It's literally just a conversation and they're all the time focused on each other. Everything is like super minimalistic and intense and focused on just those dynamics between the 4 actors who are in this play. Because of this, there are no physical boundaries, but the protagonists are sometimes in different rooms and they are in this confined space. And while there are no boundaries, it was really interesting to see how this space feels very confined and how restless at the times they were getting, which just goes to say how good these actors are in bringing that feeling to the audiences. 4th reason could resonate with those of you who prefer a bit more thriller and drama vibes when you go to the theater rather than going for something cheesy and, you know, like a spectacle type of thing, because it is very much gloomy and dark from the moment you get into the theater. There's a very nice and impactful electronic music going on. So if you like consuming stories that are a bit more heavier, this is going to be your vibe, and it will almost feel like you went to a really cool concert, but you know, it happened to be a play. And the final reason reason to go and see this show is because it's going to definitely open some questions and ask you to dig a little bit deeper into your thinking process and feelings when it comes to interactions with other people, falling in love, feeling love, and just generally like, does maybe the way that you feel kind of mentally impact that? And ultimately the answer is yes, but why is it? The whole conversation around also mental health, antidepressants, just the way that the industry standardizes certain things and side effects and all of it, I think it opens quite a lot of thoughts and discussion points that I felt that it helped me go a step further with my thinking about these things. The cast is brilliant. Both Taylor and Paapa are amazing. Together, they share this really strong chemistry, and in telling this story, they really need to be vulnerable with each other and so close to each other. It's definitely not an easy task to bring all of these questions in such genuine way, but at the same time stay playful with each other with the level of intensity that their connection requires. I go to theater quite a lot, and I've done this video that talks about my favorite shows in London at the moment, and then also this one that talks about my all-time favorites. So if you're looking for some inspiration, make sure to check these videos out and subscribe to my channel for more.